And I am live from Insanity Central. This video I'm gonna show you here today is pure nightmare fuel, and a good look for any expat considering of moving here to start a life. Maybe getting involved romantically and then having the ex-boyfriend here in the footage show up. Let's just take a look, shall we?
Mohammed?
Oh, by the way, this has been making the rounds outside of Sweden. That's actually how I found out about it. We're gonna get into that later. But I actually got an English version of this posted to me first, which led me to the Swedish original version from the channel Prime Crime. Good channel, check them out.
Anna? Hämtar du hämtar du
En stege.
en stege? En stege? Okej.
Vad gör du, Mohammed?
Ska man gå in?
Vad gör du?
Eller?
Ingenting.
Tror du kommer upp här?
Jag pratar med Maria.
Tror du kommer upp här?
Vad ska du slå med mig?
Nej, wallah.
Nej, bara...
He wants to talk to his ex-girlfriend. And the current boyfriend is the hand we see here, trying to tell him to leave, obviously.
Vad ska du göra då?
Jag vill prata med dig, Maria.
Vad vill du? Du har redan stått och pratat med mig länge nog. Jag säger jag tycker synd om dig. Gå härifrån.
Mohammed, du kommer inte upp här. Du kommer inte in i mitt hem. Du kommer inte in i mitt hem, Mohammed. Du kommer inte in i mitt hem.
He is so polite, this Swedish man, as he keeps repeating, "You will not enter my home." That's what that means.
Därför han högg mig med en kniv, Maria. Han högg mig med en kniv.
He stabbed me with a knife, he said.
Han högg mig med en kniv, en stor köttkniv.
Oh,
Såg ni det?
Primecrime.se.
Du, han krossar glaset med en sten. Mohammed. Släpp in mig på där så han kommer in. Han kommer in, Maria. Mohammed, hugg du. Mohammed. Mohammed, du högg mig redan.
Wallah, jag kommer inte upp. Wallah, jag kommer inte ut. Snart kommer jag.
Mohammed.
The exchange there at the end, he said, "You stabbed me," and he said, "I will kill you." The perpetrator responded. That was terrifying to watch. Straight nightmare fuel. So this is a 26-year-old Mohammed Amana drove to his ex-girlfriend in Orrefors, Sweden. And this made it onto terrifying as fuck, a subreddit with over 500,000 members. Yeah, like I said, this made it outside of Sweden. And it is quite shocking, no least for the sheer idiocy of it all, because you see, let's make this really simple. This gentleman right here, click like on this video if you think that he should just be deported. Because then we can measure how many people don't agree with the Swedish government, who gave this guy 2 years for this terror attack and well, terrorizing attack, and decided that he's gonna be deported for 10 years. So he's allowed to return after 10 years. And the crazy thing is, he's been convicted of numerous crimes, probably 4 times in total before. And in 2018, he was convicted to be deported, except it couldn't be executed because he didn't bother showing up to the airport. You see, in Sweden, if you get a deportation decision, they expect you to leave. They expect you to just show your way out. Used to be that case with prisons too. If you're convicted of a crime, you're expected to show up at the prison to serve your time. They changed that recently because, well, obviously. And he's a brain surgeon. Ah. Swedes are taught not to use self-defense? That's a good question. Why wouldn't he grab something to defend himself? Well, because there's been a few cases here where people get convicted of self-defense. It's a typical socialist ethic, really. I remember Solzhenitsyn, the Russian who escaped the gulags, wrote about the gulags. Jordan Peterson talks about him all the time. He talked about it in one of his books, about how even in Soviet Russia, criminals would be treated better than working people, and especially like cops, people who work for the state. Criminals always get coddled with in socialist utopias, I've noticed. Wonder if there's a pattern there. Of course, you're not allowed to own any sort of self-defense. Technically, you're not even allowed to own tear gas. You have to buy like a special kind of self-defense gas. You're not allowed to carry knives in Sweden. You're not allowed to own guns, especially. So you can't really fend against this type of insanity, which is made even more insane by the fact that this can happen so easily. In Sweden, our version of the Yellow Pages comes with the complete public information of like person's name, where they live, what their apartment looks like, what kind of car they own, their registration plate, how much money they make, what kind of debts and assets they have. It's insane, right? So if you're a woman living in this socialist utopia Sweden and you have a stalker like this guy coming after you, he can just look up your address. If he has your name, he can look up your address and everything else he needs to know to find out if you move. Getting a protected identity is a bit of a hassle. It is possible, but you have to completely move to a different location to do it. And even then, you have to maintain a constant non-leakage system. So you can't use Swish, for example. Stuff like that. It's kind of crazy. And they just make it so easy for stalkers. Do you know why they have this natural doxing system in Sweden? It's to protect against tax fraud. So they just leave everyone's information open in the public, which benefits stalkers. It's bad for women. It's bad for people who cops have suffered because of it, because they're not guaranteed a protected identity. So criminals often threaten cops, or cops put up with a lot of harassment from criminals with their families. And I even brought this up in an older video of mine, Utopia for Criminals, Sweden's Justice System Exposed. This video sadly got age restricted because of a certain clip I'm not going to show here. It really is a warning for other countries. So we often have articles in... Let me just... Oh, wait. Yeah, that's better. We often have articles in Sweden, headlines, big headlines. I see it when I go shopping at the grocery store. Here are the local millionaires in your county, in your municipality, in your city. They give you a full list of people's names and earnings. The people that earn the most get like just doxed by the media for fucking entertainment value, and it's led to a lot of crime, a lot of burglaries, a lot of examples of criminals using sites like hitta.se to our Yellow Pages to just kind of, well, let's see if we can figure this one out. Full list. Here's what this article offers. In one municipality, more than 1 in 10 employees had more than 1 million in employment income in 2017. Meaning, go here if you want to violate someone because they have a lot of resources. In other municipalities, there are so few that the number is not even mentioned by Statistics Sweden. Clearly, the differences are large across the country. So in this article, we're going to show you what city and what parts of what city has the most millionaires so that you can just figure the rest out, Just because, because gossip, because Swedish people are sickeningly nosy. They love to gossip. They love to snitch. They love to they're obsessed with, knowing everything about you. Otherwise, they suspect you of being a Russian spy. It's crazy. And, of course, here's another example. Check who earns the most where you live. List. Search by name and country. Luxury car index. Check how many Tesla cars there are where you live. Full list. These are different articles, by the way, by our two biggest papers. These people earn the most in your residential area. A Swedish average salary fades in comparison with what we're gonna show you. So they just kind of shame the richest people, which is a very Swedish thing to do. Law of Jante. Look it up. It's it's a very socialist culture. They call it modesty, call it equality, but really it's called being a bitter cunt who can't ever be happy for someone when they do well. Have you heard of Schadenfreude? It's a very Germanic thing, right? It's a German word, but it applies to pretty much the northern European countries consisting of soulless robots, right? So Schadenfreude means the joy in other people's harm. Northern Europeans are so messed up that they genuinely ejaculate in their pants. Squishes out. Just a little piece. Just with joy when they see someone hurt, when they see someone doing bad, it's a complete loser mentality. They can't ever give you a compliment or be happy for someone when they do well. There's been many sickening displays of that, both through other people's anecdotes and in my personal life. I know this to be true, and I've talked to other immigrants about it. It's weird. It's truly weird. Okay? So this is what we get, and then it leads to articles like, robberies increases fear, leading to more middle class and higher than that earners building panic rooms, getting super enforced doors, panic rooms. This is a trend in Stockholm. Here's an example from Expressen 2021. The deeds are often well planned. Vehicle ownership and income data is easy to look up online. A man who was robbed of his watch at gunpoint told Dagens Industri that he has at least 10 friends who've experienced the same. So they're interviewing a rich guy, and even the mainstream media confirms what I'm saying. They're just leaving out the part about the role they've played in it, as per usual. Yikes. Nice comment from Richard here. It sickens me that these people make immigrants look bad. People who want to make a new life in Sweden and be happy. I agree. See, I don't have a problem with the immigrants. I have a problem with the white liberals running the country, thinking that this is somehow beneficial to immigrants. Did you know that the Sweden Democrats, Sweden's nationalist party, often called the far-right party in international liberal media outlets, they're the second biggest party amongst immigrants now. Immigrants are tired of immigration and no deportation, no punishment for crimes. They're tired of Marxism. They're voting for the only conservative alternative in the country. That should say something. Per capita, there's a larger support for the Sweden Democrats amongst immigrant males than there is amongst Swedish males. It's staggering. I've covered it before. And it's a reason for nuance on this topic, because no immigrant I know, I sounded like Helmer Fudd there. This beer, a Porky Pig? Yeah, Porky Pig. What was I talking about? Anyway, yay nuance. Now, just a second. Oh gosh, I thought you had disappeared from YouTube, but now I see you have loaded up. You have loaded. You've spread your load in your seat. Now I see you have uploaded incredibly many videos. It's funny how that whole thing operates, even though I filled out all the settings and then a notification bell. Yeah, I've had a lot of people comment this. I think I've cracked it. Basically, YouTube's new algorithm demands that you shape your own home feed, your own homepage, by clicking like on the channels that you want to appear there. So basically, clicking like is a way to tell YouTube that I want to keep staying subscribed. And I think that's why some people have notifications work and some people don't, because some people just subscribe, click the notification bell, and then they're not aware of the new algorithm and they don't do the other stuff, which is sure a bit of an effort, but it only takes 5 seconds, and it's a really effective way to circumvent shadow ban. Basically, YouTube is now creating echo chambers for people so that no one really has to be outraged. Thus, there's no scandalous media headlines. I find the whole thing interesting. But basically, if you click like on my videos, you will notifications will work better and I will show up in your feed. If you don't, YouTube thinks it's a signal to not keep getting off with this foreigner. Or you can check out my newsletter. Yeah, that's a guaranteed. Goes straight to your email. I just do it once a week, all the videos. Link is in the video description. Now, I looked up the name of this guy. I originally found this video on an English channel, and it just had a few keywords, right? So I looked up the name. Immediately leads me to this headline. This is Flashback, Sweden's biggest forum. Topic created about the crime: Balcony Turk storms ex-girlfriend's friend's home. Right, so I wonder where that came from. It leads me to an alternative media called Samhällsnytt. Now, alternative media in Sweden have a hard time being taken seriously. There's been a lot of debate about this. You know, Sweden is a weird country. In America, you have, sure, mostly liberal outlets, but you do have several right-wing mainstream outlets as well. The Federalist, you have Fox News, you have, what's that guy? I like that guy. The guy with the Tyler Durden. He has the Tyler Durden icon, and he writes a bunch of good stuff about. I'm ashamed of myself. I can't recall right now. Anyway, the point is, you have diversity in America, right? Sweden basically only has liberal and socialist media outlets, and so-called right-wing media has come into competition first with the internet, like early 2000s. It's been quite a monopoly on the media before that, state monopoly. And they're basically known as racist hate sites in this country. They don't like that. They want to be taken seriously. So I find it interesting that even though this immigrant is a Algerian citizen, these yokels put Turk in the title as... who came up with that? I'm sorry, did you check in the comment section and read some Deliverance-inspired humor where someone goes, immigrants are all the same? And you just decided to misethnicify this man for what reason? This is just really dumb. How? It's so lazy. It's like... This is the same media that's been complaining about how mainstream media is constantly misethnifying people as Swedish. For example, if an immigrant or someone who's not even a Swedish citizen commits a crime, they'll just write a Swede, right? That's Yeah, that's incorrect. That should be criticized. However, you're guilty of the same thing, just with your inbred racist hick humor here. Because why call him a Turk? What's your random beef with Turkey all of a sudden? Are you aware of how far Turkey is from Algeria? Let's just get a little comparison going here, just for the sake of it, right? So here is Algeria. Oh, you better get over here. Oh, here's Algeria. That's in Africa. And way over here is Turkey, which is closer to Poland than Northern Africa. So maybe the reason alternative media doesn't get taken seriously is because they don't seem to be able to look at a map. I find it funny how Fria Teeter, a paper I enjoy, also get a lot of flack, but they're more neutral here. They're more accurate. They just call him Horror Muhammad. Which is, yeah, that's objective. This is a horror story Muhammad. You know, have you seen the scary story trend on YouTube? With all the channels, you know, Corpse Husband, Mr. Nightmare, all those guys, Shiny Gold Tails, you know, all those guys, Rob Dyke, all those scary stories, those true crime, ooh, I was attacked in my house stories. Yeah, Sweden has that. This is what I'm doing right now, guys. I'm gonna offer you a nice, cozy, scary story to fall asleep with. That's what this is. I like that. Now, I already told you about his conviction. The government is now criticizing the crime. The migration minister takes offense to this. She's a moderate party member. And here's the ridiculous story of this balcony horror migrant. In 2018, he was convicted to 5 years deportation. That wasn't executed. And this year, this spring, he applied for asylum again. And then he went and did, well, the attempted murder for the balcony. He climbed up on someone's balcony with a knife. He's continually been doing crimes. In total, he's been charged with 23 crimes during the 5-year period that he was supposed to be deported. Nah, he was just playing GTA in Sweden instead, you know. He was choosing to be Trevor, not Michael, not Franklin. He chose Trevor. He got fucked up, went loose, and then was like, I'm a victim. Give me asylum again. And now we're here with this joke of a penalty. There have been similar cases where a woman killed her boyfriend by stabbing him with a bread knife and got 13 years for murder. In another case, a 23-year-old murdered his 17-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, try to wrap your hand around how that's normal in Europe. Men in their 20s dating chicks who are 15 and up. That's normal in Europe. Her ex-boyfriend got 18 years in prison after murdering her. They call this life in prison in Sweden. But it's not really life, is it? It's enough for you to have more of a life than what you took away. Yeah. No. In another stabbing with a jealous ex-boyfriend, 8 years. So, yes, Sweden is pretty utopian for criminals. Not for anyone else. Not for anyone else. I'm gonna have to fill up this beer, and if you want to ask me any questions, leave them in the chat. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Literally 2 seconds. You can start counting. Oh, yeah. Don't leave, you assholes. Why is the viewership going down? What is this called? Remember that you are your own god. Nah, don't spread that Satanism around here, boy. That's exactly how the balcony Turk was created. And speaking of which, I have an even more terrifying crime for you to take part of. Yeah. Now this scary foreigner spooky session ASMR, erotic, petite, young, Balkan boy, Slavic, innocent, etc. pawn shop amateur is not completed at all. Those are keywords for his channel. Now, I'm a dumbass. I should have left my merch store up and like forced you to deal with some sponsor stuff, but I just didn't. But yeah, I have a merch store. Link is in the video description. It has funny shirts. Of course, you have to scroll down a lot because I haven't really organized it yet. It's kind of weird like that. But I mean, there is Eat My Ass Halal certified. That's a classic, and you know, Autist Buddha is there's shirts and stuff, and yeah. Namaste. Now, here we go. Here's a classic. Here's a Swedish classic. How do we even start this one? Horror Somal. This spooky story, this creepypasta, is called Horror Somali Shows Up at Family Breakfast. Quote, I want to fuck. In February 2021, a Swedish family in Borlänge got the shock of their life when they sat down for breakfast. In through the door stepped a Somali with visible erection, explaining that he wanted to bang. This happened in a part of the city known as Little Mogadishu. Obviously a very multicultural, ethnically diverse area, so there's that. The man of the family woke up at 7 a.m. by his sambo. And here's the thing we're going to comment on, a cultural difference. No one in Sweden gets married because they're such heathens, such pagans, such ungodly anti-Christian people. They don't believe in marriage, right? Instead, they have a relationship where they live with someone and have kids together. Might be stepchildren, might not be stepchildren. And they call it a sambo, which means just living with, roughly translated. Very gender neutral, and each party is ready to leave at any point if anything gets uncomfortable, because they're terrified of human connection. It's sickling, but it's the norm. So the almost husband wakes up at 7 a.m. by his almost wife yelling, "No, you're not allowed in here," from a different room. He gets out of his bed. He enters the hallway. There he sees his woman trying to push a Somali against the front door. The Somali has one hand inside of his pants with a full-on boner touching himself. "What are you doing, you effing Somali?" yelled the man, the almost husband. That's not me, okay? That's him being ethnically insensitive. That's not me. I'm just quoting the article. Don't go after me, okay? I'm wondering how he knew the ethnicity of this man. Was this Swedes just so naturally well versed in the national art of racial biology? Was one of his grandfathers attending the Biology of Racial Institute in Uppsala? Google it. I don't know. I mean, his prejudice radar's gotta be spot on, better than mine. How is this beer so fucking sweet? Oh my god. Do you know what this shit is? Pripps Blå, which is usually a good beer, but it's citrus. It's citrus. Why did someone give me this as a gift? Ugh! It's not at all like a cerveza. What the fuck am I drinking? Citrusy asshole. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go change beers. Not now though. First, this story is captivating. The almost husband grabs the intruder and throws him out of the apartment into the staircase hallway to then call the police. Then there's a trial. The mother side of the story, the nearly wife side of the story is that she was just making breakfast for the kids and the front door opened and an African stepped in. And he kept explaining that "I want to fuck." End of quote. The woman says he had an erection. He was touching himself, and he said in a gross manner that he wanted to bang. He had his pants on, but his fly was open. Okay, well, that's greasy. But can we just go back a little to how did the front door open? I mean, did you leave the front door unlocked? Because that's something that's so common in this country. I can't believe. You know this 50s middle class stereotype of normies, little white bread normies who want to talk about the virtues in being able to be so safe that you can leave your doors unlocked. Well, let me tell you something, asshole. That's the most unnatural thing, and it's never been a state of existence through the majority of human history, except for this little bubble in the 50s, which was really just a bubble. Because as soon as people got that comfortable, we had the emergence of serial killers like Richard Ramirez. One of his victims was a couple who were well aware that there was a serial killer on the loose, were warned to have their home locked up, but refused, insisting that I've never had to do it before, why should I now? Yeah. They got raped and murdered, so that's that's where utopian thinking gets you. Now, I don't want to come off as a victim blamer, because I don't believe in that. It's more like the utopian mentality is just garbage. It should never be defended. A society should never be based on it, because all it does is make people vulnerable. People should be allowed to own guns, be allowed to shoot anyone who trespasses their land and property and home, and get away with it, Texas style. And this wouldn't be a problem if Sweden was a little more like certain delicious, good old boy parts of Texas. So that's a lesson for you. Another thing is, why did you leave your door unlocked? I can't wrap my head around that. Like, that utopian thinking, that's the same thing as those social justice white savior tourists who go backpacking across the Middle East to prove a point and end up dead or raped or murdered or captured by terrorists. I mean, that's just being an asshole. Getting yourself killed too easily is just being an asshole. And it comes from a liberal utopian mindset of how the world should be, rather than just, take it easy and enjoy the small things. You don't need to go backpacking across civil wars and war zones and active terrorist hotspots across the Middle East and Africa just because you want to find yourself by polishing various poles. That's not going to be something I'm going to be preaching. After this liberal incident, the mother and the daughter are terrified of dark-skinned men so much that they had to move because there's, quote-unquote, so many Somalis living there, quote, end of quote. Here we get to the just amazing, delicious part of this horror story. This Somali immediately got arrested and released by cops just a few days later. That's insane to me. I don't see how anyone can have a bigger problem with the immigrants than the cops. The cops are fucking horrible. The justice system set up by ethnic Swedish people is horrible. You're aware it doesn't work like this in the countries that immigrants come from, that are way more similar to SD policies than anything. I mean, do you think you can do this shit in a Muslim country and not get your something chopped off? Come on. This is not representative of anything other than announce to the whole world that you believe in endless reward and no punishment, and then find out what kind of people you attract. I believe the first study on immigrant overrepresentation in crime from 1989 by BRÅ, the National Crime Council, had an interesting part in the summation, which was about how they suspected that the overrepresentation in part might be due to the question, who is choosing to emigrate? I mean, criminals often have a reason to move around, leave, try out different countries. So it's a very real effect that if you have a country that's perfect for crime, you might attract crime. You know? Swedish people should be pissed off with Swedish people who can never have their backs because the cops will let this guy go. And you know what he did immediately? They let the Somali out of custody, and a policewoman looks through the window and sees how he goes to sit right outside a police station by a fountain, gets completely undressed, removes all his clothing, and then moves nakedly towards the town square. At which point, they have to send a police patrol to approach the Somali and, quote, point out the inappropriate in his behavior. They sent a police woman to do this who felt molested by him, but he wasn't convicted of that because it couldn't be proven that he acted with the intent to molest her. This is why, even as a conservative, I end up being partially sympathetic to Me Too. Now, because, hear me out, I have read through so many rape cases over the years in this European, Western rape capital of the world, where the perpetrator gets off because he simply says, I didn't mean to do it. Swedish people will accept anything if the person didn't mean to and just pretends to be as retarded as they are. Blue-eyed, as their natural virtue is called. Oh, fuck it. I have to drink this. You know, it's not half bad. When I get used to it, a bit of lemon can be a bit refreshing. Anything to wash the sour taste out of my mouth. Because my taxes are going to this! I can't afford shit or make a living as a YouTuber because my taxes are so high. Because this needs to be funded with taxes. Okay. Well, this rapey pervert who walks into people's homes with his dick out literally got away with no prison time. He gets probation even though he's 29. And no one wants him deported because that's not legally mandated. So if you fix that, if you just made that mandatory, all your problems would go away. But as we could see recently, I've made quite a few videos about how 53% of Swedish people want to ban Quran burnings because they don't want Muslims to be upset with them. So they literally respect irrationality as the women that they are, and don't seem willing to fix this problem, which is why they have a rape crisis. It's not the immigrants that are causing the rape crisis. It's the white liberals that are ethnically pure and in power. So this Somali gets to stay in Sweden, even though he has two different identities, which is another kind of fraud. But who cares? Because he wants to fuck. Let this man fuck. Okay? This man entered a house with a hard-on because he believed that he is his own god. He believed in Aleister Crowley's do what thou wilt, and whip your dick out, rock out with your cock out, explore with your whore. When you don't have a whore, you go and find a Swedish woman who's might be someone's wife. But what do you care? You're already your own god, aren't you? How's them apples for you? Now, if you like my channel, there's a Swish, there's a direct PayPal. I added card payment, so you don't even have to register with a website. It's just your card. You can do that $5 a month. There's merch. I like Ko-Fi. Crypto. Link is in the video description. Support my channel if you enjoy what I do. Times have been tough lately, so any little donation makes me cream in my pants. And I appreciate it. Now, let's see what you guys are writing. What is this new age nonsense? You missed that you could rhyme knife with wife? Why would I rhyme wife with knife? Who would get off to that? Oh, we got a little donation here. $2 lovely. Flames of Zoroaster asks me, thank you, sir. Do you feel safe in Sweden being an activist? Well, let me tell you something. In the video I referenced earlier, I think people should, if you're watching this, you should go on my channel, click videos, and just look at the uploads manually, because there's so much deliciousness you have not been exposed to. I can see that with these shitty views. Shadowban is a pain in the ass. I made a video about how, about how there was a shooting right outside my street a while back. Same street, someone got shot. Around my block, I've seen, you know, like in the movie Friday when they throw up those sneakers on the telephone pole and there's like sneakers dangling on the telephone wire to kind of signal that there's drug trade going on. That I've seen that a few times, and it's talked about a lot. So there's crimes and shootings and stabbings here, and I feel safe, which is weird. I don't know. I have a vagina? Did you just tell me I have a vagina? What are you, CM Punk? You have a vagina.
I said you don't have one. That's why you feel safe.
I feel safe because I don't have a vagina.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a vagina. Vangina. I have a mangina. Okay? And it will thrust poop you out if you try to enter it. So I'm always safe. Boy! I'm always safe. Please look up the video. 3 cops and a security officer can't arrest single per... Let's see what that is. Okay, where is this? Oh yeah, I covered this one, but... Oh, fuck off! I'm not gonna do that, you creep! Yeah, no. No, I'm not gonna verify my age. What is this? Oh, that's so nasty how they force you to do your credit card thing. Nasty! Yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna tell you that I'm working on like 6 different videos today, so make sure you check out my channel manually this week. I'm gonna try and upload as much as I can and make up for slow uploads lately because I've been struggling. But I'm doing better now, and I intend on getting you off. Okay. Wow, this turned into erotic horror. That is true. That is true. We're dealing with erotic horror stories here. But I'm not sure I can put that in the title and get away with it. So, you know, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. Totem here, the genius that he is, asks, have you considered that you are losing subs because your videos are uninteresting? Well, you know, that's an interesting question because you're here. What are you doing here if I'm so uninteresting? Can you answer that question? I can't really wrap my head around that one. I have covered the topic of shadow ban, I think 2 times before. You can look it up on my channel. It has numerous articles about how YouTube decided to restrict outreach for basically citizen journalists. Independent YouTubers are no longer recommended with breaking events. They introduced a hate speech system, basically, where they won't ban you outright, but they will remove and restrict visibility. All of this has been admitted by the CEO of YouTube. There are sources on this. So just do your research, and you'll be getting off more. I didn't get horny, though. Okay, now that's the problem, Raven King. Why didn't you get horny? You're gonna have to answer that question. Follow up. Where's the question? I saw a question here. What's your opinion about the supposed blasphemy laws that Sweden might implement? I've covered this topic recently. It's a shame that notifications don't work. So a reminder, friendly reminder, please click like on this video and other videos of mine so that my videos actually start showing up in your feed. I will promise you it will make a difference with notifications. It's insane how a liberal atheist country like Sweden, where like 1 in 10 is a Christian, no one believes in God, and yet they bend over backwards for the most imperialist of religions. Blasphemy laws in secular Sweden with their proud democracy tradition, just because people in other countries got butthurt and started to make a mess. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird how the rational Swede will respect irrationality just with the motivation that it should sound nice. It doesn't sound nice. I want everyone to get along. Yeah, it's because you're a vagina of a man. There's research on the fact that Swedish people have vaginas, pussy holes. Even the men have pussy holes between it, right up in their taint, between the ass and the taint. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a different anatomy, okay? They are produced, mass-produced in Volvo factories. They get a vagina hole, no matter gender. And then I have to put up with their liberal excuses for why nothing can ever be solved. There's been research on this. Gert Hofstedt has done a lot of research on how Sweden is the most feminine country, feminine culture on earth. Precisely because they're so conformist, precisely because they think Jante law is some kind of virtue about not bragging. So their pagan equality gets them fucked. Which, I mean, yeah, of course that would be the case. Maybe that's why that Somali with his dick hard said, I want a piece of that. And on that note, we're gonna end this horror story. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been terrifying. And check back real soon for even more uploads. And if you check in the video description, you're gonna find a link tree where this is one of my favorite ways to donate. Ko-Fi, check it out. It's a great page. Ever since I got banned on Patreon, this has been my #1 replacement. And being banned on Patreon sucks. Most of my income disappeared. So leave a donation if you want to get me off. Now,